Let's talk about NXT from December the 17th, 2024. So before we get into the show, I want to discuss, there is a couple of notes I want to discuss. One is that Tony D'Angelo he's going to be a TV star. He's going to be getting a role on a TV show called Wild Cards. I've never heard of it. I had to look at the blurb. Apparently it's a CW/CBS police procedural, one of those unlikely duo kind of shows that usually get canceled very early, but they got a season 2 and Tony D'Angelo will actually be featured on that show. Interesting. Of all the people from NXT to get a chance on television, Tony D'Angelo seems appropriate. He's going to be playing a gangster on the show, apparently, which should be right up his alley, even though it seemed like he's been typecast in the role. It's very nice to see outside opportunities for young folks, especially since he's not even out of NXT yet. I wonder how is he going to do, and whether it will lead to anything else. Hopefully it do, because hopefully Tony D'Angelo making some kind of splash outside of wrestling will lead to more opportunities for him inside of wrestling. Now, I know this is a small role on a relatively unknown TV show, but that's usually how it starts, you know? You usually start small, you start somewhere, and then you work your way up. And that's, you know, you're doing WWE films, you know? And, even though those things don't exist anymore. So I'm going to talk about Becky Lynch here as well, even though she doesn't work in NXT, and I don't even know if she works in WWE anymore, but she's going to be on Starfleet Academy, which is a Star Trek, I guess, a spinoff show. And she said she's going to be an officer on that show. And it makes me, a Trekker, former Trekker, I guess you could say, wish that I still followed the franchise, because I actually do want to see how bad she will be on that show. But all of science fiction since, I don't know, maybe 2010, maybe, has lost all of its soul. It's no longer about the adventure, strange cultures, all the different things that science fiction was about in the 60s and 70s. All that stuff's gone out of the window. All the fun stuff that you got in the 90s, in the early 2000s, it's all been completely and totally replaced with modern day politics, modern day gender and race stuff, in worlds that, quite frankly, don't need it. So, kudos to Becky Lynch for getting on the show. At least she's going to be doing something with her free time. But my God, I absolutely, positively cannot stand modern Star Trek. So, I don't know what to do. I can't watch Tony D'Angelo on this wild card show because it sounds like shit. And I can't watch Becky Lynch on Star Trek because it's undoubtedly shit. So I'm going to lean on you guys to let me know how this is going to turn out. So how did NXT turn out? I didn't like the main event as much as I thought. You know, it wasn't because the match was bad. It was because the match ended in a draw. NXT main event, Trick Williams versus Eddie Thorpe. Eddie Thorpe talked to Ava earlier, basically bragging about how smart he is to get this opportunity, but believed that he would have gotten screwed in an Iron Survivor challenge anyway. And Ava kind of led it to believe that there was going to be some kind of punishment for this, but she never got around to it because Thorpe was too busy tooting his own horn. As Trick Williams was talking about proving himself right, that he is everything that he said he was, Obafemi interrupted him, said that he hopes that he wins because he wants to win the NXT title from him. And in the main event, Eddie Thorpe versus Trick Williams, the match was fine, but I did not like that finish. So what happened was there was a ref bump. Eddie Thorpe had a visual pin. Thorpe gets frustrated. There's another referee. He runs towards Trick Williams, get hit with a trick shot knee. Trick Williams lays on top of Eddie Thorpe, but his shoulders are down too, and Eddie Thorpe's hand just happens to fall on Trick Williams' chest. So there's a referee, he's on one side, and a referee on another side, and they both count 3. And one referee is counting Eddie Thorpe's shoulders, the other is counting Trick Williams' shoulders. It's the same, this was Shawn Michaels tribute night, so this was the same finish from Shawn Michaels versus the British Bulldog in May of 1996. They did a double pin off a German suplex, I believe it was. I think they also did a double pin. I think it was Shawn and Triple H did a double pin as well. This is one of Shawn Michaels' favorite things, is the double pin, and I didn't like it in this realm here. Trick Williams needed a decisive victory, but I get it. I get why they didn't go with a decisive win for Trick Williams, because you put all this heat on Eddie Thorpe. Why just beat him in one match and call it a day? You know? But now you're just basically leading to a triple threat match with Obafemi, which seems unfair because Obafemi won the right to wrestle the champion one-on-one. Why in the world should he have to share his championship match with somebody else? That just doesn't seem right to me. So it's probably going to get called a draw, and then maybe this is where Ava is going to get the heat, where she's going to give Eddie Thorpe his championship match, but since he didn't win it, he's not going to get a rematch, or at least she's going to bump his rematch far out of the way. That could be a good storyline reason why Eddie Thorpe doesn't get a triple threat match and doesn't get a rematch, is because he shouldn't have gotten this match in the first place. He lied to her, he manipulated her, she's not going to let him get away with it. That would be interesting. And them going off the air with, who is the NXT champion? It's like, in the case of a draw, the champion is still the champion because he didn't lose. But I wasn't thrilled with that finish. But I got it. I understood what they were trying to do. Obafemi, speaking of him, he beat the shit out of Axiom earlier in that night. Just chopped him and slapped him to death. Really fun match. I always enjoy Obafemi stuff. Axiom was fainting. Like, he was beat bad for his tag team championship match, but they still managed to beat Gallus. That match was okay too. Not really a big Gallus guy anymore, but Nathan Frazer more than did his part, and his team won. So they've done the gimmicks where Nathan Frazer came into the match injured and Axiom basically won the match for them. And then they've done the gimmick where Axiom comes into the match injured and Nathan Frazer basically won the match for them. And so Axiom and Nathan Frazer just look unbeatable at this point. They're just bulletproof, bulletproof midgets. You would think that bruisers like Gallus would be able to take opportunities like this, but this is WWE in modern day new. Axiom and Nathan Frazer are unbeatable. And I'm not saying that Gallus should have won because I'm not really a big Gallus guy. Match 2, Lash Legend and Jakara Jackson defeat Sol Ruka and Zarya. This match was better than I thought it was going to be. There was a great spot where Zarya had Jakara Jackson on her shoulders. Lash Legend just surfed on top of Jakara Jackson while she was on Zarya's shoulders, jumped off onto Lash Legend. That was fun. There was some sloppiness here, but for the most part, it was a pretty solid match. Zarya and Lash Legend, I don't know about the chemistry between those two, but Jakara Jackson is coming into it, and of course, Sol Ruka is very good. So, Sol Ruka took the pin in this match, so I'm guessing they're going to lead to Zarya and Lash Legend at some point. I likes this. We got our soap opera for the week as Carmen Petrovich was talking to Dion. They were gossiping again. I don't know why he's a gossip girl. I don't understand this. Dion thinks that Ashani the Adonis actually likes Carmen and she should apologize to him because he was legitimately trying to help her. She agreed, and then she hugged Dion. Ashanti saw this, got mad, then said how he ghosted Nikita, but he's going to text her now because of this. His feelings are hurt. Hurt people. And so Dion said he's going to mind his own business. He needs to. I don't understand how he keeps ended up in this situation. This is about as bad as what happened to Zion Quinn, man. Dang old Zion Quinn, man. Started dancing for chicks. So Tyreek from Tyreek and Tyson, TNT. He's upset. He's tired of being friendly with everybody. He starts talking about that doesn't get him anywhere. Tyson says, yeah, he gets it, but they don't want to be sore losers. And then Wesley, who is eavesdropping, because there's always somebody eavesdropping in NXT, that Tyreek is right. Friends only hold you back. You got to get what you can get out of these hoes and get out. So it seems like I don't know if they're teasing a breakup or if they're going to tease these three guys working together. I know Wesley got injured recently. He got a foot injury. So he probably won't be wrestling for a while. So is he going to basically work with these two guys? Okay. They're already more interesting than they were 2 weeks ago. So I can't complain about that. Jada Parker defeated Ren Sinclair. This match is okay. Jada Parker lays in her slaps and chops. I mean, she really lays her shit in. But what she really shines at is charisma and personality. And she's just got that in spades. So I'm not surprised at all. She's so over. Ren Sinclair is a fan favorite, mostly due to her being an indie darling and having a very girl next door look. I say she was a lot like Indy Hartwell, and I agree. She just, I know I say that, so I already agree, right? I agree with myself. So I haven't changed my opinion on that. I've seen very little out of Ren Sinclair that makes me think that she's exceptional. She's just okay. The trio of Shotzi, Tatum Paxley, and Gigi Dolan were sitting around playing with dolls with no heads on them. Because Shotzi says what brings them together is all of the labels that have been applied to them just based off how they look. Which I was like, you walking around with bright green hair. She's walking around with bright orange hair. And the other one looks like death warmed over. Yeah, there's going to be labels that comes with that. Paxley is just happy she won't have to play alone anymore, which is typically her gimmick. And of course, Gigi absolutely hates JC Jane. She cannot stand JC Jane. So that's what's bringing them together. And Shotzi says, dolls out, balls out. And I was like, oh boy, that's something. That's an interesting quote right there. You better not tell your kid. Anyway, Fatal Influence were watching this, and they were disgusted by it, to be quite honest. Said that trio does not have what they have, which is beauty, a championship, and more. They were then confronted by Isla Dawn and Alba Fire, who did not get the usual main roster pop. People usually, when they come from the main roster, they get some level of pop. Not for Alba Fire and Isla Dawn, who nobody has seen in months. Anyway, Isla Dawn believes that there is discord between Fatal Influence, that there's some kind of chaos going on here there's no doubt between JC and Fallon. But outside of that one argument they had, I don't see the discord. Now, apparently, Alba Fire and Isla Dawn are going to be wrestling on NXT. I don't know if they might be taping another show there or something. But them being in NXT is probably the right move. Better than, I guess, sending them home or giving them their walking papers. But they didn't get a pop at all. Nobody seems to care at all about them existing. Javon Evans was talking to Hank and Tank, and he started running down all of his achievements. Ethan Page is in the back. He's listening. And he just gets upset as Javon Evans was talking about all these great things he did all year and how Hank and Tank have the opportunity to become the tag team champions. They should focus on that. So Ethan Page gets up and walks out. He then stumbles out in the middle of the show. I thought it was a twist on bum ass Corbin that they were doing, but he was too well dressed and his hair was too well coiffed. And I was like, okay, I'm not sure what they're doing. He comes out there saying that he promised his daughter he was going to win the big one, and he did. He did it in record time. And said when he loses, all of his supporters lose. And how distraught he was when his daughter was searching through his bag looking for the NXT title, and she couldn't find it. And then he says that he lost his smile, which, of course, happened in this same building in Lowell, Massachusetts in 1997. When Shawn lost his smile rather than wrestle Bret Hart at WrestleMania 14. He wept and said that he lost his smile. So at least this is Ethan Page's gimmick. His gimmick is that he smiles a lot. So now he's not smiling anymore. So him saying he lost his smile actually fits his character. So Javon Evans comes out there and gives him the homeboy pep talk, calling him bro. Hey, Ethan, I'm sorry about taunting you with all of my qualifications and achievements, bro. Says that I saw your smile, bro. That was your smile, bro. It was a proud father smile, bro. It was a proud husband smile, bro. And look, hey, yo, I'm gonna be real with you. You deserve to be here. So just drop all that all ego stuff, bro. Show me who you really is, bro. We all want to see the real Ethan Page, bro. Show us who you really are, bro. Hey, let me tell you. I'm proud of you, bro. We all proud of you, bro. And that was the gist of the promo. He called him bro 100 times. It was almost Russo. He's still in Vince Russo's gimmick. So Ethan Page says that he's right. He should not focus on losing his smile. He should be focused on taking Javon's smile. So then he assaulted Javon Evans, put a chair on his face, and then stepped on it. There was red liquid and chiclets flying all over the place. Everybody ran to the ring, referees, officials, and there was towels covered in red sauce. And they were talking about, oh, Javon's teeth came out of his mouth. My God. As all of this is going on, Ethan Page is screaming, this is the real me, which I think is a very effective promo. I think this was pretty, I probably wouldn't have done it all at one time, but this was very effective. You know, having the young boy come out there and give the pep talk in his own voice. You know, they didn't force him to read something. He got to go out there and say it in his own voice. And it just meant him saying bro a lot. As far as Shawn Michaels recycling his old gimmicks, I mean, I don't care. As long as it makes sense, I suppose, it doesn't really matter. Like I said earlier, Ethan Page, it fits him because smiling is part of his gimmick. Now, it seemed like they were going to see a harder edge to Ethan Page and not the comedic jabroni, which is basically like the Miz 2.0, which is basically what he's been doing ever since he lost the title. He's going to be a harder edged, more serious Ethan Page. I'm interested in seeing what that looks like. But I got to say, my expectations aren't very high. You know, Ethan Page seems to just be the Miz 2.0 or 3.0 or whatever. I don't know if he can pull off this gimmick. Like, he pulled off this scene, even though it was pretty clear that he was going to heel on him, which is why I say I wouldn't have done it immediately. Maybe give Ethan Page a week to think about it. You know, they shake hands. You let Ethan Page let it soak in, and then he attacked him the next week or something like that. That probably would have been better. Or, you know, you do Ethan Page listens to Javon. Javon gives him a pep talk, and then maybe he grunts it to somebody else who kind of is the devil on his shoulder. And then, you know, the next week he kind of gives in to his base urges and attacks Javon Evans. But this is fine. You know, this is just me nitpicking. Now, Javon Evans, this is a good storyline for him because he needs a storyline. He needs to actually work with somebody. That being said, I'm thinking they're going to introduce a grill for him. That seems to be the best way to explain what happens to his teeth. So, in order to protect his smile, and now that's what the gimmick is. The gimmick is smiling, right? The gimmick is the mouth. So, they're probably going to do all of this so that Javon Evans can walk around in a grill. It might help elevate his look. And you could add, you probably need to add a little bit more to him to elevate his character. Now, for some people, they may say, well, that's too much like Swerve Strickland because he's doing grills. But I'm going to be honest with you. Young black male, he probably wears a grill anyway. And the idea is it's not really a wrestling gimmick as much as it's a cultural thing. And if he's from the South, he probably already got a grill. He probably already got fitted for one and all that kind of stuff too. So it's not out of the ordinary for a young black dude to have a grill. It's not like it's a gimmick. It's if it is a gimmick, and it's a one that's been going on for 40 years. We can go into the history of grills if we want to, but gold teeth and all that kind of stuff. We can go through the history of that, but it's not. I think Swerve might be one of the most recent guys to do it in wrestling, but he wasn't the first guy to do it in wrestling either. Crime Time had a grill in wrestling. I think JTG had a grill. He had a bottom rack. He had like the ludicrous bottom rack. So you can do that to sort of elevate his look, change it up a little bit, and help to make his character more serious. And he's a young guy who has worked very few legitimate, lengthy storylines, and this one could actually elevate him. So I'm all for it. All right, the only other piece that I haven't discussed, well, there's two more pieces, is that Lexis King and Charlie Dempsey did their workout. They used playing cards, and Charlie Dempsey was impressed, even though Lexis King wasn't perfect. He didn't cut any corners. He stood right there and kept up with Charlie Dempsey. So Dempsey accepted his challenge for a Heritage Cup match. They're really leaning hard on this Lexis King thing, but I didn't hate this vignette. It reminded me a lot of the Timothy Thatcher things that he used to do. And, of course, Stephanie Vacker cut a promo on Cora Jade, but I was writing and missed what it said. I'm pretty sure she said she's going to beat her up. So I'm just going to leave it at that. I'm not going to go back and try to find it. I'm pretty sure she didn't drop any slick word bombs on her or anything like that. All right, so that's NXT. There was really a couple of major things that occurred. I was surprised and kind of disappointed. There wasn't a lot of build for Julia and Roxanne Perez on this show, especially since Julia seems to be a draw. I think Julia is actually drawing on TV. But so I'm kind of disappointed that they weren't more featured on the show. But whatever. The Javon Evans, Ethan Page segment was fine. The Obafemi versus Axiom match was good. The tag team match with the girls was good. The main event was not my favorite because I really don't care for draws. But overall, enjoyable episode of NXT as usual. Like, share, subscribe. I talk to you guys later.